name is Jason. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again. So I'm here from Experiences in Channeling, and what I wanted to talk to you today about is about alcohol and sickness. And so I'll start out with sickness, and sickness meaning I was sick this past week. The week ago I had vertigo or dizziness, and then after that I got this pretty hardcore fever and everything. And the last time I got this sick was about 6 years ago. And what I learned from sickness that 6 years ago was that you feel completely and utterly alone. No one can really understand where you are. And there's always that feeling that, what if this is the end? What if I don't make it through this? And so it is that kind of loneliness. But what I was doing throughout the sickness, in the middle of the fever and everything, was I was doing the Course in Miracles lesson. I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me, and trying to not. So my body was feeling pain. My body was feeling, hey, Michael. Yeah, my body was feeling pain. I was, it was just not a good feeling. But I was able to get in like little seconds in between where I would just kind of take a step back from my body. And I was happy that I was able to do that. And in addition to that, what the Course in Miracles taught me about sickness as well is that sadness that you feel, right? That sadness is, that's you kind of connecting with the third dimension. And that's what the ego wants. The ego wants you to be sad. It wants you to feel that. It's like, yeah, see, I'm right. This God stuff doesn't exist. You're alone and you're going to die and you're going to suffer, right? And that's what it wants you to think. And that's what sickness proves to you. But even in the sickness, if you're able just to take a step back, is what I've learned. I wasn't perfect at it by no means. But I feel like the last time I got sick compared to 6 years ago and then now, it's like I feel like I've come to terms with it. Of course you're going to feel like the world is over. Of course you're going to feel lonely. But you just have to take a step back and just see it for what it is. And what I found is a lot of people all over the world are experiencing this sickness. Many people around me and many people back in the States. And I think something's going through this. I think it's not just a sickness, but I think there's some sort of catharsis. And that's not the word I'm looking for, but there is something that needed to move through us. This is an energetic wave, and that's what it felt like. And I was thinking, the 3 days of a fever, it'll usually last 3 days, or it's a peak on the second day, and then the first and the third days are just kind of coming down from it. And it kind of reminds me of like the 3 days of the ascension, the resurrection, right? So you kind of go through something and you come out a different person. And I think that's what's happening on our world, on our planet at this moment. I think it's some sort of upgrade. I don't know how I've been upgraded, but I've got this third arm that, no, I'm sorry. But yeah, so anyway, I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to talk about alcohol. So yeah, before I get into it, that's Experiences Channeling. This is my site. If you're interested, please check it out. And yeah, so okay, so that was what I wanted to say about sickness. It's been something that's been going through, and I sense something about the Poles as well. Not the Polish people. Sorry. See, again, maybe I'm still feverish, but about the poles shifting just a bit. And that was, the first day of this sickness was like 2 weeks ago. Everything kind of shifted to a 45-degree angle. My world was off by 45 degrees, and then it just started spinning. And so I kind of assumed that there's some big stuff that's going on our planet at the moment. I guess that would be the way to sum it up. And then I wanted to talk about alcohol. So, so full disclosure, I have a few glasses of wine, almost every night. Not this past 2 weeks because I've been sick, but I do drink wine, and my guides have told me that they would prefer I didn't, but it's not the end of the world. But I've had this thing about this, like, I feel like it's not like a spiritual thing, like spiritual people don't drink wine. That's like that's like you're down in the third dimension, man. You're not really spiritual enough. You're not like us. And that's the feeling that I get. And that's why I don't really like to talk about it too much, because I feel like if I do, I'm going to get a lot of judgment about it. Well, how can he channel if he drinks wine? That's not right. And so, and to answer your question, I don't know. It just doesn't, I don't know how it works. But I would say that since I did start channeling, I used to, my background, my ancestors, kind of German, Scottish, British, right? So that mix. And so I have a very, very high tolerance. And so when I was a bit younger, before I started channeling and all this stuff, I was, yeah, that was not a good thing. but now I don't, it's just a few glasses and stuff. But even that, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would be very offended by that and think that it's a hypocritical thing to be giving spiritual guidance if you yourself are drinking wine. And yeah, but I just wanted to share it because I think it's important to and if that bothers you, and that's good, I mean, that's fine. To each his own. We're all at different places. And but I wanted to share that because I think it's important. And yeah, that's all. I think that was really important to kind of share for me, because I feel like a lot of people, think of those sorts of things. Like if you're not fully, what's the word? If you're not a monk, you have no right, being in front of people. You have no right to give anyone advice. But what my kind of take on it, and I think that's like the Course in Miracles kind of showed me, is that you meet people where you are. It's like I am where I am. I am where I am, and I'm not perfect, and I don't claim to be perfect, and I don't claim to be anything more than I am. Just a guy, and who channels and who has these. I get these things. I get these visions, and so that's all. And it just started. I was getting these visions before, but then once I started actually training and channeling, practicing every day, it got a lot more clear, and I was able to understand it a lot more. The things that I was doing before without even thinking. And so, but what is my point now? I'm trying to get. Thanks, Michael. Thanks. But yeah, so what is my point here? Yeah, I just wanted to share that. And I think, about the Course in Miracles, about I can only teach where I'm at. I'm not a perfect person. I don't I still eat meat. I still, I drink wine. I'm not perfect. And, I don't claim to be, and I don't, I don't know if I really want to be. I'm not sure. Maybe it would be nice. I'm not sure. But yeah. So, but I am where I am, and I speak from where I am. I speak from my vantage point. Maybe if I was a little bit more advanced, then I would see even more. But at the moment, this is where I am, and this is where I meet you. This is where I meet everyone. And so, yeah, I just wanted to come through to say that. I think that was really important. And I wanted to share a dream that I had a few nights ago. So in the dream, I was like the desert, and there were these two other men in front of me, and we were on this very steep incline, and the incline went down about 20-30 feet, so about maybe 3 stories or 4 stories, and it was just like a steep incline down into this kind of desert area, and it looked like a kind of an old concrete bridge was there, and we were kind of on the side of the bridge looking down, and they were kind of hesitant to jump down, and I thought, hey, this is a dream, I'm jumping in, and I jumped all the way down the 30 feet, and I landed right on my belly, and I just started doing an interpretive dance. And I was doing this interpretive dance for like 10 years or so. And then slowly all of these people built like a church around me, and they built this stage. And somehow there was a religion built around my interpretive dancing. And I didn't think much of it because I was just enjoying interpretive dancing. And I would get on the stage and interpretive dance, and I would talk, and I would just interpretive dance. But then after a while, I looked up one day and I looked around and I thought, wow, there's so many people out there. Why are there so many people? What do they want? I'm just interpretive dancing up here. And then I looked out and I saw in my dream, my wife and my child were out there. not, yeah, just, yeah, in the dream. And they I said, I got on the microphone, I said, hey guys, I can't do this anymore. I'm not the person that you want. I'm not this person. I can't do this anymore. And I was like, I hope my wife and my child will follow me and understand. And they're like, no way. And I was like, oops, all right, so that's the end for me. And so I just, the rest of the dream, I just kind of like, I just slunk off the stage and just wandered off into the town. I was just wandering around the town thinking like, what am I, what am I supposed to do now? What have I done, by interpretive dancing? So yeah. And so I guess in a sense, I feel that way. I guess that's how I feel in a sense. Like, um, I'm not sure what it is exactly that I'm doing here. The whole experiences and channeling for me, it's all been about just trying to figure out what the heck is going on, like in my mind, and what the heck is going on with channeling and learning. It's a learning process for me as much as it is for you. And I'm just going through this process, and I'm trying to be as honest as possible. Trying to be, this is where I'm at. And but it is an experience, and I feel like I've come a long way from who I used to be, but I'm still not perfect. And yeah, and it's not that I'm proud that I'm not perfect, but I I would like to be more perfect. I mean, I do meditate every day, and I do the Course of Miracles lessons every day, and I try in every part of my life to look for peace and to bring peace into things, but still, not perfect. So I just wanted to share that. That was something that was been on my mind, and I think it's really important to share. And I think that's all I have to say. Yep, I guess that's all I got to say. Yeah, thanks, Michael. Love you too. Thanks. Cheers, cheers. So, all right. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. So, anyway, I hope you guys are hopeful. This energy out there is nuts. It's really nuts. I really don't like this time of year. It's May 1st. We are in what's called in Japan the Golden Week. It's not so golden, but it's happening all over the world. This is the giant spring festival. I don't know if you know the Stravinsky Rite of the Spring, right? That kind of stuff. It's not good. And that's what's happening all over the world. And there's just, the energy's a bit off. But we, as light workers, we hold down the energy. We hold it as much as we can, and we try to just, see through this. And it'll be over in a few days, and then we'll get back to, ourselves. But yeah, the mass consciousness is taking a reeling at the moment. So I hope you guys are struggling through it, and just, keep the light up. Keep the flame high, and yeah. All right. So thanks, Michael, for joining in. I hope you guys are hopeful, and ciao for now.